The island of Patmos trembled beneath the weight of heaven's approaching thunder. John stood alone on the rocky shore, his aged hands trembling with divine fire. Not just an old man in exile, but a vessel chosen to witness the end of all things. What if the veil between heaven and earth suddenly tore open before your eyes? The sky above him split like ancient parchment, revealing colors no human tongue could name. And in that moment of terrible beauty, a voice like rushing waters called his name. Could you bear to see what waits beyond the threshold of time itself? 7 golden lampstands appeared before him, each one burning with otherworldly flame. In their midst stood one whose eyes blazed like furnaces of molten bronze. His hair was white as fresh snow on the mountain peaks of eternity. From his mouth emerged a sword sharper than any forged by human hands. John fell to the ground like a dead man, overwhelmed by holy terror. But a hand touched his shoulder, warm and familiar despite its divine power. The voice spoke words that would echo through 20 centuries of human history. These 7 churches in Asia would receive messages that pierce every generation's heart. Ephesus had lost the fire of its first desperate love for heaven. Have you ever felt that initial passion, slowly cooling into mere religious routine? Smyrna suffered in poverty, while heaven declared them richer than earthly kings. Pergamum dwelt where Satan's throne cast shadows darker than the deepest night. Yet even there, faithful witnesses refused to deny the name written on their hearts. Thyatira tolerated a woman who led God's servants into spiritual adultery and destruction. How many churches today welcome teachers who poison souls with comfortable lies? Sardis appeared alive to human eyes, but was a corpse dressed in Sunday clothes. Philadelphia, though weak in the world's eyes, held keys to doors no power could close. The church at Laodicea thought itself rich while standing naked in spiritual poverty. Christ stood outside their door, knocking patiently at hearts grown cold as stone. Then heaven's door swung open, and John was pulled into the throne room of eternity. 24 elders cast their golden crowns before a throne wrapped in emerald light. 4 living creatures with countless eyes sang praises that shook the foundations of reality. Lightning crashed from the throne, while 7 torches blazed with the Spirit's perfect fire. A sea of glass stretched before the throne, clear as crystal and still as death. In the right hand of the Almighty rested a scroll, sealed with 7 seals. No one in heaven or earth or under the earth could open this mysterious book. John wept bitter tears, because the secrets of redemption remained locked away forever. Then, one of the elders whispered words that would change everything John understood. The Lion of Judah had conquered death itself and could break the forbidden seals. But when John looked, he saw not a lion, but a lamb bearing slaughter marks. This lamb had 7 horns of perfect power and 7 eyes, seeing all creation. When he took the scroll, heaven erupted in worship that shook the cosmos itself. The prayers of saints rose like incense, mingling with songs of redemption and glory. Every creature in heaven and earth and sea joined this symphony of praise. The first seal broke with a sound like mountains splitting down to their roots. A white horse thundered forth, its rider carrying a bow and wearing victory's crown. The second seal unleashed a red horse, whose rider stripped peace from the earth. Not just war, but a violence so complete that brothers would slaughter brothers without mercy. The black horse of the third seal brought scales to weigh bread like precious gold. Famine would grip the earth so tightly that parents would watch their children starve. The pale horse bore death himself, with hell following, like a hungry shadow behind. A quarter of humanity would fall to sword, famine, plague, and beasts gone mad. Under the altar, martyred souls cried out for justice, with voices raw from waiting. They were told to rest a little longer, until their number was complete. What if your death might inspire someone else to find eternal life? The sixth seal brought an earthquake that moved mountains like sandcastles in wind. The sun turned black as funeral cloth, while the moon became like fresh blood. Stars fell from heaven like figs shaken from a tree in a hurricane's fury. Kings and slaves alike hid in caves, begging rocks to fall and hide them. They knew the wrath of the Lamb had come. And who could stand against it? Then 4 angels held back destructive winds at the 4 corners of the earth. Another angel rose from the east, carrying the seal of the living God himself. 144,000 were marked on their foreheads as God's own possession. These chosen ones would preach truth, even as the world burned around them. A multitude beyond counting stood before the throne, in robes washed white as snow. These were the ones who emerged from tribulation's fire, refined like purest gold. God himself would wipe every tear from their eyes with hands gentle as morning. The 7th seal brought silence in heaven for half an hour of dreadful anticipation. 7 angels stood ready with 7 trumpets that would announce earth's final agonies. Prayers of the saints mixed with holy incense before being hurled to earth like fire. The first trumpet brought hail and fire mixed with blood, consuming 1/3 of earth. A burning mountain fell into the sea, turning waters to blood and death. The star called wormwood poisoned the rivers, making water bitter as human grief. Darkness struck 1/3 of sun, moon, and stars, plunging earth into twilight. An eagle flew through heaven, crying, "Woe, woe, woe," to earth's doomed inhabitants. A star fell from heaven, holding keys to the bottomless pit of nightmares. Smoke rose from the abyss, like the smoke of a furnace burning souls. Locusts emerged with faces like men, but teeth like lions, hungry for flesh. For 5 months they would torment those without God's seal upon their foreheads. People would seek death desperately, but death would flee from them like shadows. 4 angels bound at the Euphrates were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. 200 million horsemen brought fire, smoke, and sulfur to destroy the wicked. Yet those who survived still refused to turn from their demons and idols. A mighty angel descended wrapped in clouds, with a rainbow crowning his glorious head. He held a little book and swore by heaven's throne that time would end soon. 2 witnesses would prophesy for 1260 days dressed in sackcloth and ashes. They would call down fire from heaven and turn water into blood like Moses. The beast from the abyss would kill them, leaving their bodies in Jerusalem's streets. After 3.5 days, God's breath would raise them before the world's eyes. The seventh trumpet proclaimed that earth's kingdoms had become the kingdom of Christ forever. A woman clothed with the sun appeared, crowned with 12 stars of ancient promise. The great red dragon waited to devour her child the moment of his birth. But the child was caught up to God's throne, while the woman fled to wilderness. War erupted in heaven as Michael's armies cast the dragon down to earth below. Satan knew his time was short, and pursued believers with fury born of desperation. The beast rose from the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns of blasphemy. All whose names weren't written in the Lamb's book of life would worship him. Another beast made fire fall from heaven, and forced all to receive his mark. Without this mark, no one could buy bread or sell their goods for survival. But those who took the mark would drink God's wrath unmixed with mercy, forever. Then Christ appeared on a white horse with armies dressed in heaven's pure linen. The beast and false prophet were thrown alive into the lake of burning sulfur. And behold, God makes all things new, in a city where tears exist no more.